Alright everyone, if you think you know everything about being the fastest in Crash Team Racing, you might be wrong. This is the secret behind how speedrunners get world record times in Crash Team Racing. Speed ghosting, a technique known to probably less than 5% of the entire CTR community, is probably the key to unlocking your full potential into becoming a CTR god. So what is speed ghosting, you ask? Stay tuned. Hey everyone, this is TheViperian here and welcome back to the channel for another Crash Team Racing video. This video will be about speed ghosting, which is probably one of my most important video in the pro tip series. Now, speed ghosting goes far beyond the basic logic of CTR, because if you don't, let's say, Google about it or just play the game normally and never went to the internet to search about it, you probably never find out about speed ghosting in the first place. Until you watch this video, of course. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm gonna start off by explaining to you what is speed ghost in the first place, alright, and why is it so important, and then I'll slowly move on to how to perform a speed ghost and which map has the best speed ghost thus far. I'll explain more on that later in the video. We have a lot to cover on this speed ghosting thing, so let's not waste any more time. So I think I'll show you a visual representation of what speed ghosting is all about. If you're not familiar with speed ghosting, you might not understand what the heck just happened, but keep watching and I'll explain more further on. So what you see there are examples of speed ghosting. So what are speed ghosting? Speed ghosting is basically gaining a sudden boost of speed by manipulating with the physics of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. This is why I said that you'll never find it in the game tutorials, because you are literally playing with the unintentional game physics and using it to your advantage. Do note that I don't 100% know how the speed ghost works, as it's not an intentional feature, but my theory is that speed ghosts happen when you are approaching a certain part of a wall at a declining pace. Take this one in Electron Avenue for example. The speed ghost presented in this map requires you to fly over the very first part of the ramp, onto the right side, but because you're landing on an invisible wall without a normal wall physics, the game pushes you off of it, giving you that immense boost of speed. Now here are some important factors you need to know about speed ghosting. Firstly, when you acquire speed ghost, it is by far the fastest speed in the game, more faster than the fastest Blue Fire itself. Here's an example comparison between Blue Fire and Speed Ghost in Electron Avenue. Clearly, speed ghosting is much faster here, and it should always be used if you aim to be faster than your opponents. More on that later on. Secondly, not all maps have speed ghost. As shown in the example of Electron Avenue, you can tell that speed ghost requires a track to be a certain design to be active. So far, maps that are confirmed to have speed ghost are Electron Avenue, Nina's Nightmare, Sewer Speedway, Koala Carnival, Dingo Canyon, Roost Tube, Android Alley, Slide Coliseum, and Hyper Spaceway. However, I'm sure that there are many other speed ghosts around to be discovered, especially with the release of new maps as the game ages. Thirdly, after receiving a speed ghost, do not boost again or touch any turbo pad, or you will immediately lose that speed ghost. To make it easier for you to understand, what you can see here on the screen right now is the speed chart that you can get in CTR, starting from the lowest, which is no boost, to the fastest speed in the game, the speed ghost. As you may know, CTR has multiple levels of speed, and most of us are familiar with Sacred Fire and Blue Fire because they are naturally part of the game. Now, imagine a scenario where you go from Sacred Fire to Blue Fire. Because you touch a Blue Fire pad, the game automatically removes Sacred Fire from your card and replace it with Blue Fire. Pretty straightforward, right? However, for the case of Speed Ghost, this works exactly the same as well. When you get a Speed Ghost and you just so happen to drift boost or get a Blue Fire or Sacred Fire from a turbo pad, it will cancel out that Speed Ghost immediately, making you go slower. And as I said, you want to avoid doing that because of how rare Speed Ghosts are. You want to hold on to it as long as you can. Now, the fourth point that I would like to point out is that not all speed ghosts are created equal. What I mean by that is that not all speed ghosts works the same, and based on my personal opinion, not all speed ghosts is worth the risk. Because if you mess a speed ghost up, usually it will do more harm to you than good, because you are literally ramming into a wall which could immediately mess you up if not done right. Adding the fact that most speed ghosts requires extremely strict timing, I would highly suggest to only do those that are easier to pull off and will benefit you the most. Unless of course you are a perfectionist or you are just trying to get world record runs on certain maps, having that extra few seconds might be beneficial to you. So I have you to decide or not if it's worth the risk or not. So that's pretty much it on what Speed Ghost is and how it works. Now moving on to the main section of this video, which is how to perform Speed Ghost on certain maps. As you already know, Speed Ghost in every map works differently, so I won't be covering all of them in this video as it will drag this out too long. Instead, what I'll be doing is showing you guys Speed Ghosts that I personally find that's worth the risk. This includes Speed Ghosts that are easier to do, Speed Ghost that gives you a crazy advantage if done right, and Speed Ghost that has the lesser penalty if you failed. So the first Speed Ghost that I will highly recommend everyone to master on is the Speed Ghost on Electron Avenue at the start of the huge jump. This may come to no surprise as I use this track a lot for my examples. This Speed Ghost is arguably the easiest for everyone to do. It is also really hard to mess it up. Here's a comparison between with and without a Speed Ghost. Now, how to do this Speed Ghost is actually easier than you think. You might think it's hard because it looks risky as if you may fall off the map, but trust me, you won't. What you want to do is to take the Speed Ghost by simply driving off the right side of the jump. It is important to note to never press the jump key here if you are attempting to do the Speed Ghost. Doing so will result your landing to produce a boost from that jump, removing your Speed Ghost immediately. After you drive off the right side of the jump, aim to have your cart positioned around like this, facing towards the track. This will allow the track to push you to the direction you're facing, resulting in a Speed Ghost. After this, make sure not to touch the blue fire pad. There are two lanes to choose from, so choose the one without the turbo pad. Since online is kind of predictable, what you can do is to hit the crate in the middle to switch it up the turbo pad locations. This will give you a small window of time frame to actually maintain your Speed Ghost uninterrupted. Also, you can spam the jump button to maintain the Speed Ghost as long as possible as well. Now moving on to the next Speed Ghost that I would highly recommend is the one at Nina's Nightmare. Now Nina's Nightmare is a tricky one, but the reason I chose this Speed Ghost is because it is one of the best one in the game. You will get a big head start if done right, and it is also another Speed Ghost that can be done at the start of the race. Again, here's the Speed Ghost on the screen right now. As you can see, this Speed Ghost requires you to hit the fence at an almost perfect timing while your cart is descending from jump. This Speed Ghost is great. While there are lots of grass here, you can bypass them faster with the Speed Ghost. Speedrunners of Nina's Nightmare love this Speed Ghost. You can check out a YouTuber named Jordy925 and see his world record run on this map. His precision and timing of using this Speed Ghost is insane. Now, same as all other Speed Ghosts, your main goal is to spam the jump button after getting it to maintain it as long as possible. But how do you get the Speed Ghost in the first place? Here's how. In this example, I'm using the Speed engine. Other engines' timing might vary. Start off by getting a perfect starting boost. Immediately turn to the right side of the track, facing at this particular edge of the fence. After you reach past the starting line, start to jump 3 times. The first jump is done directly on the starting line, followed by a second jump, and then a third jump. Try to time your turning into the fence while you're descending. If done correctly, this will again launch your cart forward, giving you that big boost of speed. I have to warn you though that this Speed Ghost is much harder than it seems, so don't be discouraged if you can't get it the first few tries. I personally still am not perfect at this yet, but at least knowing how it works allows us the window of opportunity to practice it and perfect it. Now for the next recommended Speed Ghost by me is the one at Hyper Spaceway. Now the Speed Ghost at Hyper Spaceway could be easier than Electron Avenue depending on how you look at it. It might not seem like much, but if you compare it side by side without the Speed Ghost, it is actually a noticeable difference in speed considering how easy it is. Now this Speed Ghost does not require you to ram into a wall or whatnot, rather it takes advantage of the physics of a descending ramp. Because somehow if you jump at a certain spot on a road facing downwards, it seems like gravity will take over and start pulling you down faster. However, same as other Speed Ghosts, you cannot touch the speed ramp here as it cancels out the Speed Ghost immediately. So here's how you can do the Speed Ghost here. Again, this can be done at the start of a race as well. Speed engine will be used again in this example. Start off by racing by getting a perfect boost, followed by a single drift boost. Remember not to jump off here to avoid getting a boost. Simply drive off the slope, and once you are around here, close to the turbo pad, immediately do a simple hop over the speed pad. You should find yourself faster than usual while you're in the air. Now here's another advanced technique that you can do to make this even better, which is called the perfect frame jump. The name itself is pretty explanatory, as all you have to do is to press the jump button at the very last second after landing from a jump. This will still allow your car to jump, but this time it will not trigger the boost, allowing your speed ghost to continue. Same goes for every other speed ghost, including both of the ones that I showed you before, Nina's Castle and Electron Avenue. Perfect frame jump is key to actually maintain your speed ghost for as long as possible. So if there's one other thing that you have to master, perfect frame jump is a great thing to practice on. As again, perfect frame jump will not trigger a boost, hence allowing your speed ghost to continue for an extra few seconds. So these are the 3 main speed ghosts that I feel are the best to practice on with the best risk to reward ratio. I'm so glad that I'm finally able to make this video because I know that there are people who will definitely benefit from this, as there are not a lot of speed ghosting guide out there. And if it did help you out, hey, why not consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, because it helps the channel out greatly, and I would like to thank you guys for taking your time in watching my videos. There are still multiple speed ghosts around the map, so if you're interested in those, I would highly recommend to watch the speed ghost guide by a YouTuber named TDYU, as he explains it in all great detail. Do note that the video is in Spanish though, so you can just use the YouTuber auto translator if that helps you out. Or if you want me to create more speed ghost guides like this one, if you have any more questions about speed ghosts, do discuss in the comment section below. I'll help out in any way I can. So that's it from me for now. Click on the videos on the screen for more tips and tricks, gameplays and such from me. This is TheViperian signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.